All right, hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. So it's Christmas Day and that means that Ferrari is out. It's the official release day. I know a lot of people love to see movies on Christmas Day. I'm one of those people. I usually go with my family. So is Ferrari the movie that you should choose? Just up front, I would say that it shouldn't be, but here are a few reasons why. Before I get into all of that though, Ferrari is the story obviously of Enzo Ferrari. And kind of his time after he's kind of created Ferrari. The company's kind of about to have to file for bankruptcy. They're in a bad spot, and they're trying to get funding. So they decide they have to win the Mille Miglia in Italy, which is kind of like a cross-country race across like thousands of miles. And with that, we've got Adam Driver as Enzo Ferrari, Penelope Cruz as his wife, you've got Shailene Woodley, Patrick Dempsey, a lot of stars in this one. Obviously, it's directed by Michael Mann, which I think is really the biggest draw for this. At least it was the biggest draw for me. But first of all, I really think this biopic just fails to find a reason to exist, which is really kind of my biggest problem with it. It's not even necessarily that it doesn't know what story that it's telling, though it really doesn't. It's really just not even telling a story. Not even that it's telling the wrong story or it's not focusing on the right elements. It just, you watch this and you're just kind of like, why? If I'm being totally honest, I thought that the thread that I found the most interesting was just kind of the brutality of F1 racing during this time, and just seeing, you know, these racers that are essentially like getting in this car could mean like serious injury or death to me, and I just have to accept that and everything that it would mean for my families. And also just in the research that I did after seeing it, reading about the Mille Miglia and seeing that because of the brutality that can happen with these things, this was the last Mille Miglia that was ever held. It was made illegal after this. And I think that would have been an interesting story, but we only see that in quick little glimpses throughout. And that was really the only part that was holding my attention, and I'm talking about maybe 2 30-second scenes. It's just, to me, like, this isn't really a story about Enzo bringing his company out of bankruptcy, because it doesn't really focus on that a lot. It's not really a story of him running the F1 team, because it doesn't really focus on that a lot. It's not a story about his racers, because I honestly didn't even know most of their names. We focus on one of them more than the others, and then there's a pretty big moment with him and we just really get no conclusion there at all. I mean, I think we're supposed to feel bad, but like there's no resolution there. We also get like a lot of other kind of subplots there that like nothing really seemed like it was the main thread. Everything seemed like the B plot, and the things that should have been the A plot just kind of fell away. And that feeling kind of continues all the way to the end, because we kind of get to the end, which has like a fairly tense scene, or at least seems like something is happening, and then the movie just kind of ends and we realize that that's the end and there was no real through line here. We were just kind of seeing scenes in someone's life during this time. And I know what you're thinking, right? Like, you know, biopics can often be kind of maybe a little unfocused and definitely slow, but they're kind of meant to be an acting showcase. But that's just not the case here either. We've got like an okay enough performance from Adam Driver. He's really doing himself a favor by not fully committing to the Italian accent. But then we've got other people like Shailene Woodley that are just straight up bad and committing too hard to a bad Italian accent. She's sounding more like Eastern European to me. And Penelope Cruz is one of the highlights, really. But nobody else outside of those three really gets enough time on screen to actually show anything else through. Like, there's this whole thing with Patrick Dempsey and Adam Driver being like, you know, childhood best friends, but we only get a line of them saying that to each other, and we never really get any kind of relationship that would insinuate that, or like see deeper into what it's like to have been friends with Enzo Ferrari for so long. And if you want to compare this to something like House of Gucci, which maybe I'm just making the comparison because, you know, Adam Driver biopic, and then a year later another Adam Driver biopic, both Italian obviously too. But at least House of Gucci had some like weird, entertaining, like rich people moments. This doesn't even have that. Like there's nothing notable here at all. And for that reason, when I think about who I would recommend this movie to, I just don't know that I would. Like, if you're really into racing, or F1 racing specifically, there's just not that much of it here. There's definitely not enough to satisfy you if that's what you're there for. If you're into Ferrari, you really don't learn that much about the history of the company or their cars or their competitors or kind of anything like that. You would have to specifically be really, really into Enzo Ferrari and this specific part of his life specifically, to really get any amount of enjoyment from it, I think. And I'm not really sure how many of those people are out there, but like if you are one of them, shout out to you. And I don't want to sound like I'm being like super, super negative towards this movie, because I don't hate it. I don't even think it's a bad movie. I just think it's a super like neutral movie, like a nothing movie, like that you watch, you show up to the theater, you know, you never forget that you're watching a movie, and then you leave the theater and you never think about it again. But there are a few positives. Like I said, Penelope Cruz gives a really solid performance, especially in comparison to everyone else. And the thing that really separates this from a lot of this year's other releases is really just the audio work. Like the audio engineering team, especially in a theater, like the race scenes, which there aren't that many of them, but when they do happen, you really like feel everything. And it's just like, it feels like you're on a racetrack. Like I would be surprised if they weren't nominated for awards for that. But if this is nominated for probably anything else, I would be incredibly surprised. So yeah, guys, I guess that's my big takeaway is I really just don't know why this movie was made, and it's kind of just a nothing movie to me. And for that reason, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just not memorable at all and just has no reason to exist. But anyway, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. And if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe.